Radha Ramana Hari Govind Jai Jai.
Stages of Bhakti. Srila Rupa Goswami has made a very, very systematic presentation of what is bhakti. What is love? Prior to that, there were devotees with very, very deep loving sentiments. But nobody had systematically explained what is bhakti and what are the different stages of bhakti. Nobody had systematically explained. So Srila Rupa Goswami, he made a very, very careful explanation using a lot of the terms that were already in use. So he was like popularizing, if you like, or making it readily accessible, readily understandable to people of that time and to us as well. So he's written one verse, Adau Shraddha Tasadhu Sangat Bhajana Kriya. To Narta Nivritti Syat, to Nishta Chistita, Ta Saktis, to Bhava. These describing the different stages of bhakti. So when we're developing bhakti, it means that there's a regular process. There are definite principles. There's a regular process, and when we follow that process, so we'll develop in a steady way, in a regular way, and that's been mapped out. So with that map, we can understand where we are, how we're going. So Srila Rupa Goswami, he's explained in this way, and then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's explained in more detail in Srimad Huri Kadambini. So I want to present some of the things that they've explained. So it says that at first there's Shraddha. Then Atau Shraddha Tas Sadhu Sangha. Then associating with devotees. When we associate with devotees, especially with Gurudev, then we engage in devotional activities. And when we engage in devotional activities, bhajana kriya, then anartha nivritti. The anarthas, dirty things, unwanted things, they come out of the heart. And when the anarthas have come out of the heart to a very substantial extent, then we get nishta. Nishta means solid, steady devotion, solid, steady practice. And especially it means that we can remember Krishna's pastimes without distraction. Practicing nishta, when nishta becomes more and more steady, then we get a definite taste for devotional service. This is called ruchi, ruchi's taste. And then when that ruchi becomes more deep, then asakti, very deep attachment. Attachment to bhajan and attachment to Krishna. And then finally bhav. So now what I'd like to do is to discuss this sequence in a little more detail, and so we can understand how the sequence of the steps and something more about the steps themselves. So Adau Shraddha. In the first is faith. What is faith? In Western religion, faith means that you believe in God, you believe in something. Religion generally means that it's believing or accepting. But Shraddha is more than that. It's not just believing that Krishna is there. Shraddha shabde viswas ko hai sujita nishjoy. Krishna bhakti hoy sarva karma krita hoy. Shraddha means that firm conviction that if I offer bhakti to Krishna, then everything else is included. This is Shraddha. So it's not just a question of belief. It's a tendency. It's a tendency. When the devotee actually practices surrender, Sharanagati, to Krishna. So there's moods of Sharanagati, that we'll discuss later. There's moods of Sharanagati, and when those moods of Sharanagati appear in the heart, then Shraddha comes as like an outward manifestation of that Sharanagati. So Shraddha means that one begins to develop a natural tendency to serve Krishna instead of just serving the senses and the mind. Where does this faith come from? Adau Shraddha. But where does this faith come from? There's a regular process for that as well. It's not just chance. Bhaktistu Bhagavat Bhakta Sangaina Parjayate. One gets bhakti, one gets even the shraddha by association with the devotees. This, before we respect prasadam, chant this prayer. Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnava. Saupunyabatam Rajan Vishvasa Navijayate. Those who don't have sufficient faith, they don't have sukriti, then they can't have full faith in Mahaprasad, Govinda, Nam, and the association of devotees. So here, these four things are the things that give us this faith. It means that prior to meeting with devotees, prior to getting this faith in devotional service, somehow or other we've encountered Mahaprasad. Someone has given us prasad. Not once, many times we've encountered Mahaprasad. Like we distribute prasadam. People don't know what it is. Prabhupada called this a secret weapon. They don't know what it is. They just know it's nice food. But it's so wonderful. So special. I remember I was in Nairobi one time, one Sunday feast. There was a jeweler came. He dressed up in a nice suit and he's got this huge hole in his ear. His ear was practically down to his shoulder. And he said, I don't know what's in this food, but when I eat it I've got no appetite left at all. Completely satisfied me. And there was a hippie couple as well. He said, this food is so wonderful. I feel completely satisfied when we've had this food. So somehow or other we've taken prasad and these impressions are there in the heart. Mahaprasadi Govinda. Somehow we've come in contact with Krishna. Deities, pictures. Nam. Oh, we've heard the devotees, we've chanted. Somehow or other we've come in contact. And then devotees also. We've had association with the devotees. In the Vedic culture, the devotees go visiting the householders begging. Why? So that the householders can get association with devotees. So, somehow or other we've got an association with these things. And then as a result, we've gotten the association of devotees. Satsanga prapte pubi sukriti purva sanchitai. So we get this association with devotees because of purva sanchitai, means sukriti we've gathered in previous lifetimes, hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes. So, first of all actually comes unknowing association with devotees. Then we get some faith in devotional service, and then we associate devotees, but with faith. We can hear. And the more we hear from devotees, then the stronger the faith comes, and the more we can retain what we hear. So, when in Madhurya Kadambani, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains that this creeper, it's like a devotional creeper, it begins to grow. So when any plant grows, tulsi or beans or anything, there's two little leaves at first. How are those leaves? They're like this at first, like praying hands. So they come up and then they open out like this. So this outside, first thing to come, is a little rough. And then inside it's very smooth. So similarly, when the devotee begins practicing, so there's two aspects to bhakti. One is Vaidhi bhakti, and the other one is Rag bhakti. So Vaidhi bhakti is regulated devotional service without any real taste yet, or without deep taste. There's some taste, of course. And then Rag bhakti, that comes later, when the devotee is heard, he's associated with devotees, has absorbed their moods of attachment to the Brajbasis. Then the devotee also begins to get an intense attachment for their mood of service. This is Rag bhakti. So first of all, Vaidhi, it's a little rough. And then Rag, it's smooth. So when in the stage of sadhana bhakti, there's two particular benefits. Kleshagni and Shubhada. Kleshagni means bhakti destroys inauspicious things. It destroys suffering. So what are the kinds of klesh? What are the kinds of suffering? First of all, ignorance. When we engage in devotional service, it destroys the ignorance. In the state of ignorance, we think that temporary things are eternal. I think this body is myself. It's not. But the devotees point out that you're not this body. You're the soul within the body. You're the servant of Krishna. So it's a whole reorientation. This avidya, where we're thinking that temporary things are valuable, sense enjoyment is valuable. Sense enjoyment is the real life. Have a good day, traditional blessing. So we understand, our understanding, what does it mean to have a good day? It's completely different. Then, false ego. Falsely identifying, this body is mine, is me. This is my wife, my children, my husband, my books, my house, my money. None of these things are ours, actually. They come and they go. We've got no control over that. Then attachment and desire for material happiness and whatever will provide it. Rag. And then hatred, intense disgust or for things that are not favourable to our sense of gratification. And then abhinivesh, fear of death and obsession with material things. So these are different kinds of avidya, klesh. Sorry, these are 5 different kinds of klesh, and bhakti destroys these bit by bit. And then shubhada, auspiciousness, means devotional qualities, simplicity, truthfulness, friendly attitude towards the devotees. All of these qualities, naturally they appear in the devotee. Like Narada Muni, for example, he converted a hunter. So the hunter was very cruel, mrigari. He used to half kill animals for fun. He'd been taught by his father. People do cruel. They're so cruel. They kill animals slowly to watch them die. So Narada, he explained that then you'll have to suffer whatever you've done to them. They'll come and they'll do to you. And the hunter became so afraid. So he gave up his habits and became devotee. And then when Narada came back, the hunter came running to meet him, but he was brushing on the path. And when he came and offered obeisance, Narada said, "Why didn't you come straight? Why are you brushing on the path?" He said, "Oh, they were ants. I didn't want to tread on them." So Parvat Muni was Narada, he was laughing. He said, "Oh, this is pure devotee. This hunter, he was half killing animals previously, and now he doesn't even want to kill ants, doesn't even want to hurt ants." So these good qualities, they appear naturally in a devotee. Then, anartha nivritti. So there's 4 kinds of anarthas. Hridaya dorbalya means the weakness of heart. Then asattrishna, it means being attached to worldly things. Things in this world, things in the next world, mystic siddhis, even for liberation. Third kind is aparad, offences. Offences against the name, offences in service, offences against the dham, and offences to living entities as well. And then jiva hingsa, violence to living entities. So all of these are nartas, and they've produced, because in so many millions of lifetimes we've committed so many offences. So these have become like a mass in the heart, and bhakti destroys is narta nivritti. And when that's nashta prayesha bhajisu, when to a large extent that's gone, say 70-80%, then nishta. Nishta means fixed solid service. We can chant and remember Krishna's pastimes without distraction. When will that day come? So this is nishta. And then practicing further, we come to taste. Now we practice, even with nishta is basically there's very strong intelligence which guides the devotee that I have to practice. But in the stage of ruchi, the devotee has real taste. Has taste for devotional service. Taste for practicing. So, when the taste is not so advanced, the devotee, for example, he'll be very attracted for kirtan when the devotee is singing very nicely and somebody's playing like tabla very nicely and somebody else is playing the violin, a harmonium, and it's all going along very nice, good rhythm, like that. So then he'll be attracted. But otherwise, if a pure devotee is singing, not so melodiously, and maybe the accompaniment is not so good, he doesn't have so much taste. Or the deities, when the deity is very gorgeously dressed, he's absorbed, he really likes it. But when it's very simple, not so much interested. And then later on, anyway, he has deep attraction for service, deep attraction for kirtan. You stand and look at the deities for ages, even if there's no nice decoration. And then after this, asakti. Asakti means very strong attachment. Not just taste, he's attached. First of all, he's attracted and attached to bhajan, and then attracted and attached to Radha and Krishna directly. It means in asakti, directly beginning to meet and serving them directly. And then bhav, which is the real bhav is the real purpose of sadhana. The whole purpose of sadhana bhakti is to awaken bhav. So this, then we'll discuss the symptoms. That's a topic in itself, symptoms of bhav. Bhav means ecstatic service in one's spiritual form and spiritual nature are fully manifested. And the devotee is serving Radha and Krishna like this. So this is the gradual, systematic progression of the stages of bhakti from Shraddha to Bhav.